How do we know what is real and what is honest in this world of super information and connectivity? Human biased computer algorithms and social media influences are becoming ever more part of our human existence, and the ability to critically evaluate and understand how they work and what they mean transcends the purchasing of gold and silver that my channel has traditionally focused on, and is, in my opinion, relevant to nearly every decision that we make in our modern lives. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. If you're new to my channel, first a quick introduction. I love physical things, more specifically shiny physical things like gold and silver coins and bars. They're real, you can hold them, you know what they are all about. And over the last 4 years, my channel has been devoted to showcasing and talking about gold and silver. I've also tried to pose interesting topics and ways of thinking to prompt thought-provoking discussions and learning, not only for myself, but the people that watch my content. To that end, today's video is in a different style to my usual videos, a scripted presentation on human bias and how algorithms can and are affecting the decisions that we make in this world, and what we can do to better understand them and help us make better decisions for ourselves. Almost everything that we do in this modern 2020 pandemic-ridden world that we now live in is connected to the online universe. And I choose the word universe carefully because it is almost too vast to comprehend just how big this online space is. We get our news, socialise, learn, interact, work and many more day-to-day activities online. And collectively we are becoming more disconnected from the physical world every single day. Most importantly, to at least the big corporations around the world, our money is managed and spent mostly online, and the ability to influence or manipulate our purchasing decisions is worth trillions and trillions of dollars. With more information available online than humanly possible to comprehend, we make sense of it all by the use of machine learning and algorithms to sort it all out and ultimately present what is relevant, and not just general relevance, but targeted relevance to the end user. That all sounds good and well and part and parcel of the modern age of superconnectivity and information that we live in. But what if I told you that the vast majority of what we are presented with has been shown to us based on natural human bias, and it fuels these computer algorithms? Those algorithms have been influenced by and learn from human bias to begin with, and are constantly learning from the habits of other humans with evolving human bias that is in turn influenced by the evolving algorithm. It is a never-ending loop of learning and bias that leads us to, well, nobody really knows, and that's the point. I don't know about you, but that sounds scary to me. It's why I think that critical evaluation of what we see, hear and read online is one of the most important skills that we can develop. Now, I do want to point out a small conflict of interest here. I, of course, have a YouTube channel, and I am reliant on the YouTube algorithm to take my content and share it out to people it thinks will watch it. To a degree, I am financially dependent on YouTube and the ad revenue that the algorithm generates for me. My own content is of course influenced by human bias, but it is inherently a good idea for people to understand the motives behind different channels and different content. It doesn't take long to start falling down a YouTube rabbit hole on any subject, including outlandish conspiracy theories. So the YouTube algorithm, from my perspective, is a necessity, and one that I am somewhat dependent on. Trying to understand it and understand how you can use it for the greater good is very important. Ultimately though, I am influenced by my own human bias, and I am just a guy that likes to talk about shiny things here on YouTube. I have always tried to be very open about this, and the topics I talk about are often meant in a light-hearted way and in no way financial advice. But there are a lot of channels on a plethora of topics, not just gold and silver, where this is just not the case. Falsehoods, fake news, conspiracy theories, outright lies, or simply outlandish claims get traction because of the YouTube algorithm and can form the basis for entire micro economies or industries to be developed. The information age is undoubtedly beneficial to human collective learning and development. Never before in history have we been able to access 99.9% of the answers to 99.9% of the questions that you could possibly think of at the push of a button on a handheld device that you can take anywhere. At first glance, this seems to be one of the crowning achievements of human existence. Knowledge is power after all, and with all that knowledge you should be better armed to make the decisions that are right for you, whether it be about education, socialization, or your purchasing decisions. Being able to dissect the information that you are presented with and work out for yourself what is real, what is true, and what to believe is part of what makes us human. Physical experiences and the scientific method are some of the only ways to truly know if something is real and or genuine. Touching, hearing, smelling, seeing, our senses are what tell us whether something is real or not. It is only in the very recent past that humans have been basing decisions on what to do, where to go, and what to spend money on without using those senses. More often than not, nowadays we make a decision based on what someone else has said or what we have been recommended by a computer algorithm. We used to rely on our own critical thinking to make decisions about where to eat or what to buy, but in the last 15 years the online world of algorithms and machine learning has been developed to try and do this for us. To what long-term benefit is still up for interpretation. Those long-term consequences of the influence that we are bombarded with on a daily, if not hourly basis are as yet unclear. Now, there is only so much that you can do to protect yourself. An example is Mrs. Backyard Bullion and I were recently at a nice restaurant at a very nice hotel. The restaurant was recommended to us by a friend and we researched it online before booking. To our best guess, it looked like it was going to be a good meal. And we were right, it was an amazing lunch with stunning food, wine and service. But what was most interesting was that whilst we were waiting for our taxi to take us home, we overheard an irate customer in reception whose hotel suite was not quite to her expectations. Now, I know this seems like a bit of a first world problem. The phrase, "my hotel suite doesn't have enough rooms," was a genuine thing we heard this lady say, but it does raise an interesting comparison to our own experiences. She had been recommended it by a friend, she had researched it online, seen customer reviews, and had booked that particular suite based on the information that she had seen and interpreted. She did the same things as we had done, and by the sounds of it, all the right things, but she had a very different customer experience to us. It got me thinking just about how her own perceptions, human bias, and interpretations of what she was going to be getting for her money influenced how she felt when she saw the physical suite. Humans are naturally attracted to the positive and can very easily overlook the most obvious elements that we just take for granted. Her main problem was that she did not have twin bathrooms in her suite. One would imagine this is something that would have been very obvious to anyone in the description and photos of the suite that she was looking at. But she overlooked it. The expectations that she had built up in her mind exceeded what reality presented her with, and consequently she was disappointed. Now, whether these expectations were created by the recommendation she was given by a friend, or the glamorous photos on the hotel's website, or just what she expected to get in a fancy hotel suite, the bias was created somewhere, and at some point in the customer experience process there was a disconnect in critical thinking by this lady. Now, it happened to this lady and it happened to me, and it's probably happened to you at some point too. I've bought my fair share of really poorly made gadgets and gizmos from online marketplaces based on positive customer reviews and 5-star ratings, only to be bitterly disappointed by the real item. Personally, I try not to live with those regrets and I move on with my life as best as possible, learning from mistakes and changing how I shop or decide to spend my money. But it's all very hard to do because of the constant bombardment on our own internal human bias by computer algorithms in the form of YouTube adverts, recommendations, Facebook and Twitter feeds. We are shown what a machine thinks we want to see, and we often take this bombardment of information at face value. It's no secret that Google, Facebook, Twitter and countless other tech corporations around the world are integral to how we live our lives right now. But dependence on smartphones and fear of missing out, or FOMO, are now diagnosable psychological conditions, and they are affecting countless people, young and old, all around the world. We are beholden to the computer algorithms that not only show us adverts, but also recommend to us what a machine thinks we want or should be watching, reading or consuming digitally. Human bias can work both ways though. Having been stung a few times with some really bad purchases online, I now work very hard to evaluate the reviews that I read or the technical specifications of a product before I hit that pay now button. Due to the prevalence of so many fake reviews, I often will only look at the 1 or 2 star reviews of a product, even if it has a 99% customer rating. And I can and have been put off buying a particular product because of just one negative review. This is not just true of buying online gadgets, but in any review system that I look at now, whether it be restaurants, experiences, hotels, or any purchase decision that I make. The way I look at it is that an individual is far more likely to put out a negative review about a product or experience than a positive one. Positive experiences are what we are conditioned to expect, and like the lady in the hotel, anything less than that expectation is going to annoy us. And in the world of super connectivity and social media, the power to complain has never been such a valuable commodity. Organizations will do anything they can to avoid that 1-star review because there are people like me out there that will not make a purchase decision because of it. 30 years ago, complaining about your hotel room was next to useless. You could make a song and dance about it in reception, maybe influence a few other people that overheard your experiences. But now you can post a review online for thousands to see for years to come. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you have a big social media platform or get lucky with a post going viral, machine learning algorithms can back you up, and that negativity can be shared with millions of people around the world. Back to the lady at the hotel, we never did get to hear the outcome of her situation as our taxi arrived just as she was being led off to view an alternate hotel suite that, if she liked, she would almost certainly be upgraded to for free. Maybe this was her tactic all along. It's not unheard of for people to try and get preferential treatment against the threat of negative customer experiences being shared online with millions of followers. Indeed, the term influencer, a term which I despise of being described as myself, goes almost hand in hand with computer algorithms, because to be an influencer means you and your audience are beholden to those algorithms that supply you with a platform in the first place. I personally hate being described as an influencer, but when you put things in the context of this modern world, anybody can be an influencer. 30 years ago, people's social groups would have topped out at perhaps 100 people. I remember the first days of Facebook and adding all of my friends and being pretty stunned at the fact that of everyone I added, I could really only call a handful of them close friends. The rest were just acquaintances and people that I'd met once or twice. My influence over them was insignificant. But now with a YouTube platform and tens of thousands of followers, I have more power and influence than I care to admit. And throughout my time here on YouTube, I have tried very hard to promote individual decision making as critical to anyone's decision making process. It is the main reason that whenever you see a product review or an unboxing video, it is not done as a quid pro quo, but as a fair and honest review, either as a customer or on the basis that I have complete and free liberty to be as critical as I like about a particular product. You should never trust an influencer implicitly, even myself, because human bias always plays a part in the decisions that we make. When an influencer, or anybody for that matter, posts a negative review or experience with the sole intention of gaining preferential treatment to resolve an issue, you just need to ask yourself, how ethical is this kind of behaviour? I see it often enough, and the majority of the time the intentions are good and fundamentally not immoral. A customer has had a bad experience and they want to share that experience with their peers. That's fine. However, there are situations that I've observed where, in my opinion, people are jumping the gun and intending to get preferential treatment. Now, everybody's opinion is going to be different on this topic, and that's just fine. But my personal opinion is that a moaning negative review with the sole intention of essentially blackmailing a company to give you preferential treatment is just plain unethical. I have posted and shared a number of negative customer experiences here on my channel before, but never as a means to get preferential treatment. I firmly believe that when you get to a point of sharing any negative experiences, it should be done after all other avenues of resolution have been exhausted. I have and always will measure an organisation's ability to deal with a negative situation over the negative situation itself. Mistakes happen in this world, and the integrity that it takes for an organisation or individual to own up to that mistake and rectify it is, in my opinion, worth its weight in gold. This is down to human interaction, and it should be how the world works, but sadly we are all becoming more and more reliant on this fast-paced world of instant gratification, and if something has gone wrong, we want it to be sorted immediately. To critically evaluate a situation and make your own decision on the item in question is really important, and something that we can often ignore because it's convenient or easy just to take at face value what we read. The internet is a wonderful and horrible thing at the same time. The perpetuation of falsehoods and outright lies is one of the things that really annoys me the most about it. Whether it be fake positive reviews or deliberate acts of nepotism and abusing a position of influence, it's just how the internet seems to work these days. Now, freedom of expression and freedom of speech is fundamentally important and a great thing, but machines and algorithms have a hard time at best and a nigh on impossible task of filtering out some of the falsehoods. There is a reason that over the last 75 years with the development of the communication age, that conspiracy theories have become more and more prevalent, almost to the point where millions and millions of people can be influenced and manipulated to part with vast sums of money to support outlandish theories that in reality we should just ignore as the ramblings and ravings of misguided individuals. So how do we combat this? Can we combat this? Dissecting the truth from the plethora of misinformation out there is a learned skill and one that we should be trying to practice and learn every single day. Objectivity, in my opinion, is one of the only tools that we have in our arsenal to fight the bombardment of fake news, fake reviews, and human bias. Critical thinking and research is really important, and I appreciate it's not always possible to take the time over every tiny decision that you make. But wherever possible, try to take a step back and gain perspective. Just because Google or Facebook or Twitter show you an advert for a specific product or link you to something that you were looking to buy does not mean it is the right thing to buy. Simple research can often save you more time and money than sorting out a problem that might arise. Things like just taking the time to look at a seller's profile. Have they been established for a long time? What are their contact details? Look at the reviews and ask, can they be trusted? When you see something on YouTube that claims something radical or outlandish, just ask yourself, does that sound right? Is it too good to be true? What are the qualifications of the person making these claims? What ulterior motives are there at play? What does this machine want me to think? These are the critical questions, and they are critical for a reason. The hows, whats, whys, whos, and wheres are the most important questions to ask yourself and others when looking to make decisions, and will help you dissect the truth from the false. To conclude, this modern world of algorithms, machine learning, and Twitter feeds, combined with the unfathomable amounts of information that we are constantly bombarded with, has and will continue to influence us. We can't change that. It's unavoidable. But how we interact with this information can change, and it can help us save time, money, and collectively make the internet and this global social network that we find ourselves in more beneficial for all concerned. I appreciate that everybody will have differing opinions on this subject, and I would love to hear what you have to say. The whole point of this scripted video is to start and engage in discussions. So please feel free to comment down below with those thoughts and opinions. So I want to finish today's video with a big personal thanks to everybody who has watched this video, especially those who've watched to the end here. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit the thumbs up button. As we've been talking about algorithms, the thumbs up button really does help share this video out through the YouTube algorithm. So any support that you can give through liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing would be very beneficial. If you do like my content and this style, let me know down in the comment section and subscribe for more like this in the future. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.